Welcome everybody to another shocking prison news episode of Lockdown 23 in 1. That's right, as you can see, the backdrop has changed a bit. Brought back the old school indigo blue on the walls. I love it, man. This color really soothes me. Either way, like I said, I got some shocking prison news stories to bring your way. One including an update on Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever you like to call her. I've heard the name pronounced a million times, but for some reason it's just one of those words where I'll always pronounce it wrong. Not to mention you ain't gonna believe what a CO did for a little, I guess you could say, a Christmas gift for himself. But unfortunately that's not gonna happen because he got caught. It's gonna blow your mind, but I understand his circumstances 100%. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you wanna be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, so for the first story, like I said, a CO was trying to get himself a little Christmas gift. Since no family members or friends want to help him out, traveling all the way down to Indiana. A correctional officer has been charged after being accused of trafficking meth and tobacco into prison while working overtime. Brent Redinger, 39 of Rushville, was charged this week in Madison County Court with a felony official misconduct and trafficking with an inmate. An arrest warrant has since been issued for Redinger, who's an officer at the Pendleton Correctional Facility. And I brought many stories coming from this place, as a matter of fact. But at the very end, I'll let you know exactly why he was doing all these illegal activities, why he's working overtime, why he needs the extra cash. Officials began investigating Redinger in late September after an inmate tipped them off to alleged trafficking in their cell block. Key words: inmate tipped them off. I've been saying this for like the last decade to y'all. There's way more snitches in prison than you could ever imagine. But it's more along the lines of the sneaky snitchery. A hidden kite at 4 a.m. slid under the door right in front of the CO as he's making his rounds. Around that time, everybody's pretty much asleep. Chances are the CO's gonna get it, read it, and nobody even know what happened. Or they could be a houseman in close contact with these correctional officers, man, spewing a bunch of bullshit to someone just because they don't like them. The reasoning behind these guys snitching, it varies. Shoot, some gangsters will do it as a power move. You'd be surprised. It's a very, very dirty game in prison. But the inmate alleged that Redinger was hiding all these drugs and contraband in his waistband. Interviews with inmates revealed that Redinger often worked overtime in their cell block and entered inmate 21's cell alone despite not being allowed. Redinger would then allegedly hand inmate 21 a cafeteria tray that contained ounces of tobacco or other contraband. Video surveillance from the cell block showed Redinger walking with inmate 21, pointing at various cameras and handing over items. Multiple tapes reportedly showed Redinger spending over 20 minutes in a cell with inmate 21. Man, oh man, look, I've already told plenty of stories of this type of stuff happening right before my eyes. One of the COs, his moves were strictly for black and milds. He would bring them things in like Morgan Freeman from Shawshank. And then you would have other COs go into other inmate cells. Those inmates come out flashing cash. Maybe not to everyone, but they definitely came to my cell to show me a couple hundos. Then you got the female COs. They'll go up in a cell. Chances are it's definitely about the cheeks in that situation. But yeah, I've seen COs go in and out of cells plenty of times doing all kinds of dirt. Now, officials brought Redinger in for questioning, where he reportedly agreed to speak with the investigators. Redinger said inmate 21 asked him to bring tobacco, so he went and bought a 16-ounce bag of tobacco from a smoke shop. He said he owned a little vacuum sealer that he then used to bring in the 2 bags of tobacco into the prison via his waistband. Seems like the old prison snitch was right on point. But Redinger reportedly said the inmate 21 initiated the trafficking and set up a Cash App account for him. He said that in addition to money, he was promised other things from the inmate. He said he told the inmate how his son was upset about not having a go-kart. Oh man, not this worst case scenario here. I thought it was for him, but he's just trying to get his son a go-kart for Christmas. God, Redinger, man, this is breaking my heart. He said he told the inmate how his son was upset about not having a go-kart. He said that the inmate told him he would give him a free go-kart if he brought in some tobacco, which is what started the trafficking. He said he did not get a go-kart. That's fucked up, man. Those guys carried him. When searching Redinger's phone, investigators found Google searches for the following: Myler smell-proof bags, Amazon.com secret stash. Oh no! He tried to buy the right gear for the mission, but still failed. Sad situation, man. Everyone's a loser here except for the prison snitch. He's always winning. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A little free go-kart incentive had a CO breaking things off left and right. Unreal. Why would you want to risk years in prison for a free dusty-ass go-kart? Ain't no way in hell that kid be riding around on a boxcar. Sorry, son, but I whipped this thing up. Hope you like it. Anyways, let's move on to the next story. I spent entirely too much time on this one. Now let's move on to Miss Maxwell. If you don't know nothing about her, she's 62 years old and currently serving a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking. The former socialite helped sexually abuse multiple minor girls alongside ex-boyfriend Jeffrey Epstein, who died in jail back in 2019 after being arrested on multiple child sex charges. With that being said, a lot of people would probably be happy with what's happening to her now. It says that Maxwell spent Thanksgiving starving in a Florida jail due to lack of food. Maxwell and other inmates at FCI Tallahassee in Florida are going hungry. This has been going on since last week. The inmates have been told the Bureau of Prisons has run out of money, and Maxwell and the others have been left starving. Portion sizes have been cut from 8 ounces to 2 ounces, and Maxwell hasn't had food for 5 days. I don't believe that one bit. She's definitely nibbling on something when the lights go out. The prison says it cannot afford to buy the vegetarian diet plan she's on. She and the others are going hungry. Not only are the prisoners going hungry, but they are lacking basics like medication due to lack of funds. The prisoners who need medication, everything from chemotherapy drugs to blood pressure medication, were pulled to one side and told there isn't enough money for these drugs. FCI Tallahassee has a history of poor conditions. A Department of Justice report from last year said that the prison was found to have moldy food, rat droppings, and rotten vegetables. Prison inspectors described conditions as alarming, with prisoners resorting to using feminine hygiene products to plug leaks in ceilings and windows. We observed moldy bread being served as well as discolored and rotting vegetables in the food preparation refrigerator. In the food storage warehouses, we found likely evidence of rodent droppings, as well as bags of cereals with insects and warped food containers. We also found that the female housing unit roofs routinely leak, and that all 5 general population housing units roofs need to be replaced. Can you imagine the mold growing in that prison? With all those leaks, probably been leaking for years. Look, I understand a lot of people, like I said, probably enjoy that she's living in this type of environment. But there's a lot of inmates in there that definitely don't deserve this kind of treatment. No prison should be serving food like that or having leaky roofs. That's just my 2 cents, man. You know, a lot of people look at inmates as violent, vicious criminals. But always remember, a lot of those guys, man, they're only in there for like a year for some petty stuff. Chances are they're going to turn their life around, right? So, I don't know. That's how I look at it, man. I wouldn't want to live in that type of environment either. But either way, old Maxwell's starving. They can't afford that vegetarian dish. Looks like she's got to jump on that meat rock. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's the meat that they serve pretty much across the country in lockup. If I were to guess, a vegetarian would probably die before they tap into that. Now the next story is a prime example of something that I say all too often on this channel. Don't dig yourself a bigger ditch than what you're already in. But the article that I'll be reading from begins saying a judge described Michael McCurchie, who had a history of escaping custody, as a walking terror, who acted out at pretty much every opportunity. In light of the record in this case, the court's decision to impose an outside the guidelines sentence was warranted, as was the extent of the departure imposed. Now, a lot of people might not understand exactly what that means, but the judge is pretty much saying, this guy's a menace to society, and that's why I chose to give him more time than what was recommended by the guidelines. Keep in mind, those guidelines try to keep everything in proportion to make sure that nobody gets too much time. But sometimes it's warranted, like this situation, the judge said. But what exactly did he do, and what does he look like? The judges also notated that Michael McCurchie made threatening statements, threw feces, urine, and spat on people in jail or the hospital. He also kicked out the barrier in a patrol vehicle after a jail escape so he could spit on the officer. He also broke a window in a holding cell at the courthouse during a break in his sentencing hearing. McCurchie, now 36, was convicted in Ingham and Eaton counties on charges stemming from a chain of events that began with a police chase and crash in September 2020, which caused him to lose his spleen. McCurchie was driving a stolen car at the time, and both he and another driver were seriously injured, police said. He was being held in Ingham County Jail in Mason. After being released from the hospital, he escaped on November 12, 2020. Officials said that he meticulously disassembled a daylight window and the angle iron that was used to frame it. He used mattress padding to make it appear he was in his bunk. He was able to break out because the guards had paused daily interior cell inspections. Now, McCurchie ended up stealing another vehicle after the breakout and was arrested on November 21st, 2020, just a few days later, after he was seen driving yet another stolen vehicle in Eaton Rapids. He crashed that vehicle as well and afterward told police, "That old ass jail ain't gonna hold me." Oh, no. McCurchie was sentenced as a fourth-time habitual offender to 6 to 15 years in prison for escape. Key word here is habitual. He keeps on doing the same stuff over and over, 4 times to be exact. That's called digging yourself a bigger ditch. Now, McCurchie's sentences in the jail escape case are concurrent to each other, but consecutive to the case stemming from the first chase and crash. They also ran consecutively to the 6 to 40-year sentence he received in Eaton County. McCurchie is now at Marquette Branch Prison. According to state corrections records, his earliest release date is June 26, 2037. His maximum release date is September 26, 2085. My goodness, what do you think's going to be happening on Earth during 2085? Definitely going to be 3 doors on a microwave by then. But that's why a judge called Michael McCurchie a walking terror. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed some prison news of the day. I have another story about a police officer coming your way tomorrow and the things that he did. Man, y'all, I say it all the time, you ain't gonna believe it, but you really ain't gonna believe this one. In the meantime, though, as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.